So here I want to introduce another Buddhist concept, which is deep listening and deep hearing. Deep listening and deep hearing. Oftentimes in Buddhism, we use the metaphor of sight. Like awakening is a metaphor of sight. I've been blind before, and now I wake up. And that's good. But in Shin Buddhism, we place even more emphasis on listening and hearing. Listening and hearing. And one of the reasons for this is that we cannot entirely get rid of our blindness. Blindness, in this case, blindness caused by my narrow view of myself, of my ego self, of my self-power. So even though the realization of the oneness of reality, of great compassion, begins to soften the boundaries of my hard ego, begins to relax my ego, it doesn't completely eliminate them. Because we as human beings, we have karma. We can't completely wipe the slate clean. And for that reason, even as we go deeper into our understanding and awareness of myself and reality as a whole, blind spots remain, and that's okay. But we can always hear the call of reality. Even through a fog, we can hear a parent calling, "It's time for dinner, it's time for dinner." So even when we can't see, we can hear. And I want to share a story with you that hopefully illustrates this. So this is a paper that one of my students wrote for my class, and it was such a great story that she wrote that I asked her if I could share some of this with others, and she was very enthusiastic. She said, "Nobody's given me recognition for the work that I've done in this way." So her name is Summer Tran, and she wrote a series of stories called "My Mother is Not a Bad Mother." And she writes, "My mom didn't have an easy childhood. She was raised by her grandmother and 3 uncles for most of her developmental years. My childhood was so different from hers. I was showered with gifts, love, and attention from both mom and dad. I only received the best of the best. And it took me a long time to realize this was my mom's way of making up for what she felt she lacked as a child. So many factors contribute to how a mother mothers her child, and after 18 years of being my mom's daughter, I realized just how significant a role her trauma played in mine. My mom and I clashed in every way possible and fought at every chance we got once I became a teenager, because she knew what it was like to be let down. She did not want me to even get the opportunity to be let down. I began to think that my mom was a bad mom for denying me my independence, and this was my truth for a long time. I know now that she was just scared, and she could see the child in me and herself. My understanding of this darkness is that it's in all of us, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. On the contrary, I think the darkness is something that needs to be addressed and accepted for us to stop passing it on. The longer we avoid the aspects of ourselves that we dislike, the more prominent they become.